If you want to convert this Flash Actionscript 2 movie, I'll play it right now. It has some basic interactivity, and you'll see here we've got the spaceship, and if we press the thrust button, the ship thrusts, and if we press the stop button, the ship stops, and if we press the shield button, it goes to shields. Now, this was done in Actionscript 2, but if we wanted to, let's say, convert this Actionscript 2 movie to Actionscript 3, this is what we would do. Now, first of all, we would go to File, Publish Settings, and we would change Actionscript 2 to Actionscript 3. So let's do that now. Okay, so now it's Actionscript 3. If we click OK and publish our movie, you'll see we get errors up here in the compiler errors, right? Because Actionscript 3, the code is a little bit different. So let's talk about what it is we need to change. Now, on the timeline, first of all, if we go into the Spaceship movie clip, and inside the Spaceship movie clip, I'll double click on it to go in. All of these timeline action scripts, like the stop action, and this is a go to and play, and then at the end here I have another, let's see here, at the end of this animation I have another go to and stop on frame 1, or this go to and stop on frame 1 timeline action script. All of these action script statements can stay the same, so we don't even need to change any of these basically control the timeline scripts. What we do have to do is change the way our buttons and our functions work. So we'll go back to scene 1 and we'll look at our action script, and this is where we'll need to make our changes. So first of all, if you look here in this Actionscript 2 code, we've got the button and the event handler and the function all written into like one statement. So we're going to need to change this. So what we'll do is we're going to move this down here, and we're going to have to basically separate our functions from our buttons. So we're going to go like this, and so now we've got button 1. We'll put our button here. Our event handlers will go up here. So button 2, button 3, and then here's our functions. Now, for the functions, we're going to need to give them names. So we'll say function thrust, and we'll say this one will be function no thrust, and then this one will be function shields. So notice how I put a space between function and then the name of the function. Okay, for this to work in Actionscript 3, we're going to need to pass this function some information in between these parentheses. Now, the way the structure of a function works is you've got the declaration of the function here. This says we have a function. This is the function's name. And then these are the parameters or arguments that can be passed to the function. And then when the function executes, this is what happens, whatever's between the two curly braces. So we're going to pass some information to this function, and we're going to pass it basically some event information. I'm going to put a colon here, and then we can decide what it is we want to pass. And what we're going to pass this function is a mouse event. So I'm looking for mouse event here. All right, and let's see here, mouse event. So I'll just double click on that, and you can see that now it's highlighted blue. Event, capital E, colon, and then mouse event, capital M and capital E. When it's correct, it should all be blue. Then at the end of this function, we also need to tell it what we're going to return. Now, we're not going to use a return statement within the function. This is what a return statement would look like, right? See how it turned purple? We're not using a return statement in the function. So at the end, right here in between the parentheses and the curly brace, we're going to put a colon and then a V, and we're going to hit enter, and it's going to say void, because we're not actually returning any information. Okay, so that's the structure right here. Now we're going to need to have the same thing on these other functions. So we'll put event, colon, and then MO, and you can see then we can just go down to mouse event, hit enter, and then colon void, because we're not going to return information in the function. And then the same thing is going to happen here. So I'm going to copy this, Control C, and paste it here. So now our functions are built. We've got the thrust function, the no thrust function, and the shields function. Now what we need to do is fix these buttons right here. Notice that once we put this event, colon mouse event, here in the function, this line appears on line 1, import flash.events.mouse event in capital M and a capital E, and it's all blue. This is importing basically the mouse event class from the Flash library, the Actionscript 3 library. And it seems like it just came in there automatically. I don't remember typing it myself, so it's just been imported automatically. So what we want to do now is we want to take these buttons right here and create an event listener, right? Like before we had in Actionscript 2 the on press event, so that we could launch some activity or some interactivity when we press the buttons. So now what we're going to do is we have to add that manually here, and we'll do it by saying button1 dot add capital E event capital L listener. So that's capital E capital L. When you have it correct, it should all turn blue. Then open and close parentheses and then a semicolon. Now inside the parentheses we're going to put a capital M, mouse, capital E, and that's event, and then the kind of event will be a CLICK or click event, and you can see there it is, click, right? And it has to be capital L, capital I, capital C, capital K, CLIK, all caps. Then we'll put a comma, and then the name of the function we want to call when we have this click event basically on the button. So we'll say we want to call for button 1 the thrust function. And so then we'll take this and copy it, and we'll paste it, and we'll change it to no thrust and shields. Now this import statement's here, and we'll just leave it here for the moment, and let's try out our new Actionscript 3 code on this movie. So we'll hit Control Enter, and you can see that we're not getting any errors up here, any error messages, and the thrust works, and stop, and the shield works. So the Actionscript 3 scripting is working nicely. Also, I'm not certain that we need this import statement, so I'm going to remove it from the movie, and I'm going to do a file save as, and save this as number 4, and I'll hit save and hit Control Enter, and you can see we don't get any errors here, and it seems to work just fine even without the import statement. So there you have it, Actionscript 3. We've got the buttons and we have the functions, and everything's working nicely.